Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Ken, and thanks for tuning in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. You saw what Stephen F. Austin did there just a few seconds ago. How about your Pitt Panthers knocking off Northwestern? They just knocked off two Power 5 teams in the last two games to win that Fort Myers tip-off. We got Paul Zeise here to break it all down because he is our Pitt basketball expert. We do have another big game to talk about. The Penguins scored 6 goals in the third period, by the way, but the Pitt basketball game just ended or is about to end in 4 seconds. They're up 72-59. I think two pretty solid wins by Pitt. You're not beating nobodies. You're beating
they're Power 5
some
teams.
Power 5 teams.
Listen, there was a year or two ago they couldn't beat anybody.
Yeah.
So the fact that they beat 2 Power 5 teams and the fact that they were able to do it on neutral courts, you know what? That shows that they're making progress, and I think that's the most important thing. Now, obviously, next week they got another one with Rutgers. They should beat Rutgers, right?
Yeah,
Rutgers
you would think so.
Stinks, and then take your shot with Louisville. I mean, so when you looked at this stretch of 4 Power 5 teams in a row, you said, hey, if they can go 3-1 or 2-2, that's pretty good considering where they were at. They have a good chance of going 3-1 because they're probably going to beat Rutgers. Now, Louisville's probably out of their league a little bit, but that's, they got to get there. They just need new play. They just need to continue to get better players.
And, I mean, they have good players right now,
yes.
good players
They
that are getting confidence.
Right, they don't have enough of them, and they don't have enough with experience. But that's how you build a program, right?
And I think that, I know you and I have talked about this many times. I think it's more important to have a good recruiter than a great recruiter instead of a great basketball coach, because you can always hire an assistant to be a great basketball coach.
Right.
You need a guy that can go into a living room and sell a program, and I think that's what Jeff Capel can do. Yes. I'm not saying he's a bad basketball coach. I'm just saying he's a really good recruiter.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think when we talk about it and you look at it, he's a good recruiter, but I think the most important thing that he does right now, he gets those guys to play as hard as they can play. They're fun to watch because he really gets them to play hard. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, if you can get your guys to play harder than the other team every night, you're going to give yourself a chance to win. I mean, the Florida State game, it was an ugly game. It was terrible. And Florida State's guy, Leonard Hamilton gets that team to play hard. But you know what, that night, Pitt played with a lot more sense of urgency, and it showed.
Yeah, and Pitt played hard in the first game in the Fort Myers tournament to come back and win that game.
Yeah,
and play hard down the stretch.
That was a more impressive win than this. I think
yes.
Northwestern stinks. I think Northwestern will be at the bottom of the Big Ten. But I think Kansas State is a team that'll be on the border of being an NCAA tournament team. And now
do you think that this team's on the border of being an NCAA?
Northwestern?
No, Pitt. I mean, if they're the 7th or 8th best team in the ACC,
that's the key.
Which they were projected to be around, right?
I think 10th.
So say they're 9 or 8. I mean, that's get you into the tournament,
close.
Right?
It's probably close. The problem I would say this year is the ACC's. It's good and it's bad. I think the ACC is not very good. I think there's some good teams at the top, but
it's just not deep.
It's just not deep enough, and usually in the second half of the league is where all the really good, is where the RPI boost and everything else for the league is, because usually the second half of the league is better than the second half of any other league. Well, I don't know that that's the case this year. I mean, I think, Syracuse is not very good. There's a whole lot of teams that just aren't very good in the ACC. So Pitt can, by extension, win enough games to get there. But the problem is, and this is the biggest thing, the problem is if it's not as good as it has been, even if you finish 8th or 9th, that might not be enough. They might only get 7 teams in this year.
Yeah, usually the ACC gets more.
That being said, beating Florida State, 2 neutral court wins here, beating Rutgers, next week if you do that, that's a pretty good non-conference.
And I think you have to go close to being 500 in the ACC as well. So
I'll tell you another game that people do not realize will really help them. Winning at Robert Morris. Assuming Robert Morris does what they usually do in the NEC, a road win is worth so much more than a home win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In fact, if you get a road,
even if it's Robert Morris.
It depends on, I don't know what they're, I know the RPI has been de-emphasized and it's quadrant 1 and 3 and all that crap. But the reality is it all depends on where Robert Morris ends up because, you know, under the old RPI system, right? If you got to win over, say you got to win at 100 to 125 or 150 on the road, that was like a top 10 win at home. Seriously. So, like, that's how much weight there is put on winning on the road. So if Robert Morris, whatever the system is this year, I forget, I think it's quadrant 1 and 5 and all that crap. If it's that, say it's a quadrant 2 win on the road. That's a huge win in terms of the boost that it's going to give them. So that's, you know, their non-conference schedule is actually going to help them.
All right, speaking of a boost, how about the Pittsburgh Penguins and their third period?
What in the world happened there?
We're going to show you some highlights coming up after this break. Also talk a little bit about your main man, Duck Hodges. He's taken over for Mason Rudolph. We had a chance to talk to him, too, so we'll address that. And comeback win. Maybe the most impressive win by the Penguins this entire season, Paul. I think so. So we'll talk a little bit about it coming up next, so stay right there.
The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, celebrating 25 years as Pittsburgh's #1 home exterior expert in roofing, siding, windows, and gutters, where honesty and integrity still matter.